All right, guys, Fulu coming to you with a real quick video. The Shakur saga continues. As I expected, and I've said this in like many videos already. I've said it in like maybe 3 videos already that I don't see the fight with Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez happening. And the reason why I don't see that fight happening is just due to the fact that we know the past history with Oscar Valdez, and we know how we study patterns, right? And so the pattern is like, he ducks, you know what I mean? We understand that to be the case. So I don't, again, I'm just going to dissect something that I listened to from Shakur. And all I got to say about Shakur is, I can't really blame him for being politically correct because at the end of the day, I think that's what he's doing. And he kind of understands that basically if he talks in a certain way, that means that he could come under scrutiny. That means that he can possibly be blackballed. So I think that's why he kind of like he navigates that slippery slope in that certain way. He had an interview with Ak and Barak, and I'm going to be the first one to say I do not like Ak and Barak. I think that they are the biggest Canelo cheerleaders in the world. And I'm glad that Demetrius Andre G-checked both of them. You know what I mean? Like, Demetrius Andre, he G-checked Chris Manis, and he G-checked Ak and Barak. Because I'm sorry, but they just do so much Canelo eggplant writing, it's not even funny. And then another thing about it, too, is that I want to say that Canelo ain't even on DAZN. And they still be like, just like riding this dude so hard. And I just be like, golly, these guys are pathetic. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. So what happened was that, Shakur Stevenson, he did an interview with Ak and Barak, and they were just speaking about basically, just a couple of things and what have you. And so he basically confirmed, as he did on his Twitter, that the contract with Oscar Valdez has not been signed yet. Okay? What he did, though, and maybe this is politically correct on his part, is he said that Canelo does not duck anybody. He said Canelo does not duck anybody. Canelo fights everybody. And I think he was just saying that in order for him to be in the good graces. This is my personal opinion. The thing is, like, Floyd Mayweather has already made his money in the sport of boxing, and he's still making money in the sport of boxing. You know what I mean? Like, but he's making money on the back end right now. He's making money as like a promoter, doing appearances and stuff like that. That's how he's getting his money. He's not really worried about, like, for example, fighting for money. He's not really concerned with that right now. He's past that. We know that to be the case. So he can say whatever he wants to say, and pretty much he won't suffer any consequences for saying what he wants to say, because he's already made his money. But you look at fighters who have talked against Canelo, and you see how they have fared. You look at Terrence Crawford, who has said that, Canelo avoids a certain style of fighter. And and we saw what happened when he did that. We saw what happened. We saw people were at his throat. We saw that people disliked him. We saw that people just basically threw him under the bus, right? Demetrius Andrade has been vocal about it, of course, and we see what has happened to him. Thrown under the bus, pretty much blackballed. You know what I mean? So, I think Shakur, to his defense, he's trying to avoid that. So, my point is, you have to be very, very careful when you speak about Canelo and the media gets a hold of it. You know what I mean? If you're a fighter that is, of a certain hue, right? So when I listened to the interview, I said to myself, well, he's probably just saying this to be politically correct. Truthfully speaking, though, I really don't think that Bob Arum really messes with Shakur like that. Because the thing is that in the interview, you got kind of glimpses of him saying, Bob Arum just be saying things. Bob Arum, he just be talking sometimes. So you can tell that, Shakur, Bob Arum is a promoter and that's where it stops. There isn't really like a relationship where, Shakur will call Bob Arum for advice and be like, hey, how can I navigate this? Hey, how can I invest this? That doesn't exist with him. I think what it was is that, coming fresh out of Olympics, Bob Arum, that's what he does. That's one of his, I guess you can say his specialties is that he'll get these dudes out of the Olympics, that have strong showings in the Olympics. He offers them a lot of money, or he offers them more money than they've seen in their life. And he just snatches them up. That's what Bob Arum does, he's known to do that. So, with this being said, I want to say that, I really, again, don't think this fight's going to happen. Top Rank is kind of advertising it as if it's going to happen, but I really don't think it is. And another thing that I want to say, too, is that, unfortunately, you had Ak and Barak kind of gaslighting it, too. You had Ak and Barak saying, yeah, Canelo's going to check him. And yeah, Canelo's going to do this, Canelo's going to do that. And Canelo has no intention of doing that. As a matter of fact, Canelo can give a rat's ass about what Ryan Garcia or Oscar Valdez does. The only time he cares is, when they do drugs, because then it's okay, that comes back on him. But if they, just fight or whatever the case may be, he doesn't care. He doesn't give a care what they do. So, with this being said, I understand that we probably aren't going to see Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson fight. Now, what I want to say now is I want to get into something else that was said in the interview, and I want to get into some other things that were said outside of the interview that bring some points. Now, Vasily Lomachenko has said that nobody wants to fight him. People are afraid to fight him. Things like that, right? But it appears that what's happening now is that you have George Kambosos potentially negotiating with Vasily Lomachenko to fight. And it's crazy. You can't make this shit up. Excuse my language, but you really can't make this shit up. But you can't make this shit up because now I'm reading the comment sections on Twitter, and you see you see Vasily Lomachenko fans say that Lomachenko is chasing Undisputed. Okay, so apparently, of course, they're buying this story that Kambosos is undisputed. Because in order for Lomachenko to be chasing Undisputed, he would have to fight Devin Haney. You know what I mean? And here's the thing. I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at if, okay. I wouldn't be mad if, I would not be mad at this at all. If George Kambosos said, okay, you want a shot at all these belts? First fight Devin Haney, try to get his belt, and then we can fight for all of them. Because guess what? Devin Haney would take the fight. Devin Haney wouldn't duck that fight. Devin Haney would be like, okay, this is a good name to put on my resume. You know what I mean? Like, Devin Haney would probably say, okay, yeah, let's get it. Okay, this would be, I can say that I beat Vasily Lomachenko. That's what he would say, right? So, we're now in the situation where Shakur Stevenson has said that he would like to fight Vasily Lomachenko, which tells me that he's not talking about fighting Vasily Lomachenko after Oscar Valdez. He's talking about fighting Vasily Lomachenko possibly like as a shoe-in for Oscar Valdez, for the simple fact that Oscar Valdez hasn't signed a contract. Okay, now at what weight he would fight Vasily Lomachenko, I don't know. Because, you know, technically when you think about it, Lomachenko is the blown up 135. You know, when you really like assess the situation. I don't think it would be a problem for Lomachenko to drop down to 130. You know, I don't think that would be a problem. Now, I want to say something about this, and I'm going to end this video on this note, that it has came out that, for example, that, you know, that in the sparring with Shakur Stevenson and Vasily Lomachenko, that Shakur Stevenson was giving Lomachenko that work. You know, and also we have to understand something too. Shakur Stevenson sparred with Yordenis Ugas, so he has sparred with bigger guys. You know, Yordenis Ugas, he's a welterweight, right? They even got work together, but it was like more technical work. You know, it wasn't really like dog on dog sparring. You know, it wasn't that kind of sparring session with them. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to say his name. I refuse to do that. That's one thing about this channel that I try not to do, is say people's name. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, when I say someone's name, it's number one, making them famous. You know what I mean? And number two is showing that, like, okay, obviously this person is, this person kind of like, how should I put it? This person kind of is annoying. You know what I mean? Like, this person kind of annoys me, basically, if I kind of go into his name. So I'd rather keep it subliminal, you know. That's the best policy. You know, some rappers, for example, Jay-Z, you know, sometimes he did say people's name. Like when he said Nas's name, sometimes he would say 50 Cent's name, but it was just basic, you know. I remember he said 50 Cent's name, and that actually put 50 Cent on the map. you know, Jay-Z said, you know, you go against Jigga, your ass is dense. I'm about $1 with the F is 50 cents. You know, I remember that. It was on his volume 3. But anyhow, this user who has 0 subscribers and feels that Loma is the best, you know, is the best fighter, period. Better than every other fighter, better than Ali, better than Floyd and stuff like that. He will exaggerate and make lies up about Lomachenko. And one of the lies that this guy has made up is that Lomachenko made Shakur Stevenson quit in sparring when actually the complete opposite happened. You know what I mean? It was actually the complete opposite. As a matter of fact, you know, shout out to Champ Side. Shakur Stevenson wasn't even supposed to spar Lomachenko. He just wanted to spar Lomachenko, and then after he sparred him that one time, Lomachenko, I guess, wanted to get some get back so badly that he used them during the whole camp, during the Rigondeaux fight. You know what I mean? So what does that tell you? It shows you that he was getting worked because, you know, I mean, if it left the gym, God forbid that what really happened left the gym, Lomachenko would probably, like, you know, there would be other people who would be like, hey, well, you know, if he's like that in sparring, then I can give him this work in a fight. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I think that maybe, you know, push come to shove, we may get a Shakur Stevenson Vasily Lomachenko fight before we get a Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez fight, judging by the tone of the interview. You know what I mean? But let's just wait and see what happens, and I'm off until the next one. Fulu signing out. Like and subscribe, Unjarama.